This video contains some major plot spoilers about Fallout 4, so if you want to avoid spoilers, turn back now. We just completed a series all about Rivet City. We explored the entire ship, completed every quest, and met every person. If we're playing a good karma character, we can walk away from Rivet City and rest easy knowing that the people who live and work here are set up to become healthy and successful for the foreseeable future. That is, until we travel 10 years into the future. In 2287, we find that the primary force for the Brotherhood of Steel has moved to the Commonwealth in Boston. While exploring the Brotherhood's airship, the Prydwen, we find a terminal in Elder Maxon's quarters, labeled Elder Maxon's Terminal. Inside, we find a number of interesting documents, but if we scroll down to the third one, Ingram IG 444PR, Prydwen concerns, we find a note from Proctor Ingram talking about the state of the Prydwen. And here we learn some history about how the Prydwen was able to leave the capital wasteland. As you know, in order to get the Prydwen rapidly to the Commonwealth, I had my engineering team pull her older power plant and replace it with an updated fusion plant we pulled from that aircraft carrier wreckage. I was able to squeeze almost 100% efficiency from the new reactor, but the system is burning through our coolant supply faster than expected. She then goes on to explain that they will be unable to sustain the Prydwen hovering over the Boston airport for much longer unless they get a new source of coolant. So in order to make the trip from the capital wasteland to the Commonwealth, the Brotherhood of Steel removed the power plant aboard the Prydwen and replaced it with an updated fusion plant that they found on an aircraft carrier wreckage. Could this aircraft carrier wreckage be Rivet City? After all, the dates all line up. We know that the Brotherhood of Steel was in the capital wasteland. We know that they turned the Adams Air Force Base into their headquarters after their victory against the Enclave. We know that they spent the last 10 years building up their force, hoarding more technology, and altering their goals as a faction. Under Elder Lyons, their goal was to provide the people of the capital wasteland with clean water. But under Elder Maxon, their goals drastically changed. Is it really too far-fetched to believe that Maxon's Brotherhood of Steel would strip the fusion reactor from Rivet City? Well, first of all, for this aircraft carrier mentioned in this terminal to be Rivet City would have to have a fusion power plant. Now, we just completed a multiple episode series and we never saw a fusion plant. But if we talk with Dr. Lee in the science lab aboard Rivet City, we learn that one of her many experiments is on creating portable fusion power.
Our work on portable fusion power and hydroponics are coming along quite nicely, if not quite according to schedule.
And of course, that's right. We recall from the primary plot of Fallout 3 that Elder Lyon's Brotherhood of Steel used the research of Madison Lee to rebuild Liberty Prime and make the giant robot operational. Her research on mobile fusion power is the only thing that turned Liberty Prime into a functional robot, and this was research that she was already undertaking long before the Lone Wanderer ever met her inside Rivet City, long before James ever asked her to work with the Brotherhood of Steel. Why was she performing this research? Was it out of her own curiosity? Maybe, but I think it's much more likely that she was performing this research to benefit Rivet City. We learn from talking with her that she considers Rivet City to be a shining bastion of light to the people of the capital wastelands.
Rivet City is one of the few bastions of civilization left in the land. We're working to rebuild our society to make the world livable again.
She was really committed to Project Purity, and it nearly broke her heart when James abandoned that project. We learn from Fallout 4 that she didn't become a scientist to build war machines.
Why did you leave the Brotherhood in the first place?
I was tired of being stepped on and used by the Brotherhood. First, there was the water purification project, designed to freely benefit the entire capital wasteland. Even though the Brotherhood allowed it to be activated, they wanted to control it. Then there were other, more classified projects, always using my work as weapons of war. I simply had enough. You're wasting your breath. I'm a scientist, not a soldier. The Brotherhood desired my creations in order to destroy, to take control. I'm not interested in returning to that way of life. If you're here to talk me into working on Liberty Prime, you can forget it. I've been down this road with the Brotherhood before. I left the Brotherhood because they had me work on weapons of war.
What's Liberty Prime?
Dr. Lee can give you the rundown.
Yes, well, the Brotherhood discovered him. An old pre-war military project that never saw the light of day due to power problems that couldn't be solved. With my assistance, they were able to get his reactor running and use him against their enemies.
What did you do?
I designed and oversaw the building of the reactor that ultimately solved the power problems.
So it's your fault the thing is here now.
You have no idea what I went through. The awful choices I had to make. No idea. That was 10 years ago. One of many things that led me to abandon my old life and seek out the Institute.
Well, great. Helping the Brotherhood has really worked out well for us.
Oh, spare me. It was 10 years ago. You were sleeping peacefully in your little tube while I went through a very special kind of hell. You have no right to judge me.
No, she has a heart for the everyday people of the capital wasteland. She was likely working on portable fusion power in order to make Rivet City self-sustaining, in order to improve the lives of the people living in Rivet City, to make that city self-sustaining. And as we just learned, she had already found success. I believe this is strong evidence that Rivet City had a functional working fusion power reactor. And not only that, one that was put together and optimized by the very woman that the Brotherhood of Steel conscripted to work on Liberty Prime. If Maxon's Brotherhood of Steel was looking for an updated fusion power plant for the Prydwen, the closest one and the easiest one to get is the one that was at Rivet City, which just so happens to be an aircraft carrier wreckage, just as was described on Maxon's terminal aboard the Prydwen. The great unspoken horror about everything we've just discussed is that if the Brotherhood of Steel took the fusion power plant from Rivet City for use on the Prydwen, they likely didn't do it with the consent of the citizens at Rivet City. Can you imagine the Brotherhood coming to Rivet City and saying, "Hey guys, we're gonna walk away with your fusion reactor, the only source of power on your ship, hope you don't mind," and having Rivet City's residents just roll over and take it? Can you imagine Harkness taking it? Or do you think it's much more likely that the people who live there and have lived there for decades would fight tooth and nail for the survival of their city? We already know from the events of Fallout 4 that the Brotherhood of Steel is perfectly comfortable taking things from the dirty little settlements around the Commonwealth if they think that they need them more. As I explained in my video arguing why Maxon's Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 4 is evil, Proctor Tegan asks the sole survivor to take food from local settlements, quote, by any means necessary. And yes, that does include intimidation, theft, violence, and even murder.
Reporting for duty.
You're just in time. I've got another farm lined up for you.
What's the mission again?
Your mission will be to ensure full cooperation of the civilian farmers. By any means necessary.
Any means necessary? You're giving me carte blanche on this.
You said it. Like they say, if you aren't with us, you're against us. You get to make sure those farmers down below donate a proper amount of their crop to the Brotherhood of Steel.
I'm in.
Thought you would be. You'll find the farm on your map. And don't forget, you get their cooperation by any means necessary.
Why do I get the impression I don't want to hear what you have to say?
The Brotherhood needs your help to protect the Commonwealth. Donate a portion of your crops to the Brotherhood, and it will not be forgotten.
I'm afraid we can't spare the food.
The Brotherhood of Steel demands your tribute, citizen. You will hand over a portion of your crops to the Brotherhood.
Tribute my ass. We don't owe you anything, so get off my land.
Don't think this is the right place to be shooting that.
If Maxon's Brotherhood of Steel has no qualms with taking food out of the mouths of the people who need it to survive, how can we suggest that they would even hesitate stealing an important piece of technology like a functional fusion reactor from Rivet City? After all, this is the Brotherhood of Steel, the very faction that hoards technology. Our horrifying realization is that if the Brotherhood of Steel stole the reactor from Rivet City, they likely had to kill or displace the city's residents to do so. I think this is a compelling argument, but there are some counter-arguments. The first is that when talking with Paladin Danse, we learned that he's from Rivet City.
I grew up alone in the capital wasteland. Spent most of my childhood picking through the ruins and selling scrap. When I was a bit older and had a few caps to my name, I moved into Rivet City and opened a junk stand. While I was there, I met a guy named Cutler. We got along pretty well. Watched each other's backs and kept each other out of trouble. When the Brotherhood came through on a recruiting run, we felt like it was a way out of our nowhere lives. So we joined up.
Rivet City. Must be post-war, because I've never heard of it.
You're right. It was a settlement, built inside the remains of a beached aircraft carrier. One of the safest places to live in the capital wasteland, until the Brotherhood arrived. It was the perfect location for me to try my hand at being a merchant.
I'm glad you had greater ambitions than just selling junk.
Once I saw what the Brotherhood had to offer, there was no comparison.
How could Paladin Danse join the very faction that rolled through and destroyed his home? The argument goes that Danse would never have sided with the Brotherhood of Steel if the Brotherhood had really destroyed Rivet City. But there are a few issues here, and here's where a major spoiler comes in. So spoiler alert, as we learn from the events of Fallout 4 during the quest Blind Betrayal, Paladin Danse is a synth. And not only that, he's a synth who at one time in his past had his memory wiped. It could be that his memories of living life at Rivet City are fictional, that they were planted there by the railroad.
He told me you're a synth, Danse. That makes you a traitor.
And he's right. But the news is just as much of a shock to me. I didn't know, I swear.
Why didn't you tell me, Danse?
Because I didn't know. Until Quinlan got that list decoded, I thought synths were the enemy. I never expected to hear that I was one of them.
How could you not know that you're a synth?
It doesn't make sense to me either. It just feels like a cruel joke. I remember being a child. I remember growing up in the ruins, everything. I suppose they programmed that all into my head. I mean, I feel like I've been in control of my entire life, making my own decisions and determining my own fate. Even though the proof states I'm a synth, I don't feel any different than I did before. I still feel like a human.
While it's clear that the railroad wiped his mind, I don't believe Dance's memories of Rivet City are part of a fabricated memory. After all, he is firmly integrated as a senior officer of the Brotherhood of Steel. That's not a memory that the railroad could manufacture. It's not like Danse the Synth appeared on the Prydwen one day with all of these memories of Rivet City and everyone started addressing him as a paladin. No, the Brotherhood would notice a new soldier aboard the Prydwen. No, I think things happened exactly as he described them. He really did live and work in Rivet City. He really did join the Brotherhood when the Brotherhood came through Rivet City. And he has spent the past 10 years of his life making a name and a career for himself as a soldier of the Brotherhood of Steel. That's the only way we can explain his senior rank as a Brotherhood officer. So if his life at Rivet City is not a false memory implanted by the railroad, how then can we explain his loyalty to the Brotherhood if the Brotherhood destroyed Rivet City to get their fusion reactor? Well, I think we find our answer by understanding the personality of Paladin Danse. Danse is a die-hard, true blue believer in the Brotherhood. They can do no wrong in his eyes, even when they're trying to kill him. We have to remember that during the Blind Betrayal quest, unless the sole survivor intervenes, Paladin Danse takes his execution, either by insisting that the sole survivor kill him.
I'm a synth, which means I need to be destroyed. If you disobey your orders, you're not only betraying Maxon, you're betraying the Brotherhood of Steel and everything it stands for. I need to be the example, not the exception. I'm ready to accept the consequences of my true identity. Maxon's ordered you to execute me, and I'll be damned if I'm going to stand in your way.
If it needs to be done, then so be it.
I've never been prouder of you than I am right now, sister. It's been a pleasure serving with you. Victorium, sister.
Or by kneeling before Elder Maxon so that Maxon can slit his throat.
Disgusting machine. Let this serve as an example to the Institute.
Victorium, sister.
That's the kind of guy Paladin Danse is. He is completely self-sacrificial, but he's also comfortable sacrificing others. He's the kind of guy who has the mindset, you're either with us or against us. Also, when he told us about his past, he described living as a merchant in Rivet City as going nowhere.
We felt like it was a way out of our nowhere lives.
So we don't get the impression that he had a whole lot of love for Rivet City. So my answer to this counter-argument would be no. Paladin Danse would not be upset if the Brotherhood destroyed Rivet City to salvage its fusion reactor. But his story here gives us another vital piece of evidence. The Brotherhood went back to Rivet City. We already know from the lore of Fallout 3 that James and Madison Lee left Rivet City to continue work on Project Purity. Then they worked closely with the Brotherhood of Steel to wipe out the Enclave, get Liberty Prime functional, and to take over the Adams Air Force Base. None of that took place at Rivet City. So if Paladin Danse said that he and Cutler joined the Brotherhood when the Brotherhood came to Rivet City on a recruiting run, we can only conclude that the Brotherhood came back to Rivet City. Was it just to recruit more soldiers? Or could it also have been to pilfer a fusion power plant? Also of note, Danse says that Rivet City was one of the safest places in the Capital Wasteland until the Brotherhood arrived.
One of the safest places to live in the Capital Wasteland, until the Brotherhood arrived.
This could mean two things. It could mean that after the Brotherhood arrived, the Brotherhood made many other places just as safe as Rivet City. Or that the safety of Rivet City can't compare to places like the Citadel or the Adams Air Force Base. Or it could mean that it was the safest place in the Capital Wasteland until the Brotherhood arrived and destroyed it. Which one could it be? The next argument goes that if the Brotherhood really destroyed Rivet City to get the fusion reactor, then Madison Lee would have never worked with them again. That is a compelling argument because Madison Lee is a really principled woman. However, we remember from talking with Bigsley during the Broken Steel DLC for Fallout 3 that Madison Lee left the Capital Wasteland on her own just after Liberty Prime helped defeat the Enclave. She did so because she felt manipulated by the Brotherhood of Steel to use her talents for war. Then, on her own, she traveled all the way from the Capital Wasteland to Boston.
I made it from the Capital Wasteland to the Commonwealth on my own, you know. I can take care of myself.
Where she met up with the Institute, which she knew was there after bumping into Zimmer inside Rivet City, and became a scientist. Therefore, she has spent the last 10 years of her life inside the Institute. She would have no way of knowing whether or not the Brotherhood destroyed Rivet City. As far as she knows, Rivet City is still safe and sound. She wasn't involved with getting the Prydwen operational. She has no idea where they got their fusion power plant. She has no idea that it's likely the very plant that she built. Now, all of this said, we have no black and white proof that the Brotherhood of Steel destroyed Rivet City. This is just a theory based on a myriad of evidence we find in the game. And ultimately, it comes down to one of these two choices. Either the Brotherhood of Steel took the fusion power plant from Rivet City, likely against the will of the people who lived there, although, to be fair, it's always possible that they took the power plant without harming the rest of Rivet City. And if true, I suppose it's always possible that the people we meet in 2277 are still there, just living without their power. Or the Brotherhood of Steel managed to find another fully functional fusion reactor inside a second ruined aircraft carrier near the Capital Wasteland that coincidentally we never discovered while exploring the Capital Wasteland. That's entirely possible, but here we can appeal to Occam's razor, which states that the simplest solution is likely the best one. Which is the simplest solution? To completely invent a brand new aircraft carrier that we have absolutely no evidence for, and to suppose that this invented aircraft carrier still has a fully functional fusion reactor that is so good that the Brotherhood dumps the working one they have on the Prydwen in favor of using it, or that the Brotherhood raided the one aircraft carrier we do know about during a trip back to Rivet City, which we know they made, and took the one fusion reactor we know it had, developed by the very same woman who solved power issues for Liberty Prime. I think based on the evidence we find in the game, this question answers itself. But ultimately, at the end of the day, this is just a theory. We ultimately don't know for sure, but it's a whole lot of fun to talk about. I would love to read your thoughts on this topic. Do you think that the Brotherhood destroyed Rivet City to take its fusion reactor? Or do you think that they took the fusion reactor from some other unnamed aircraft carrier? Or do you think they took the reactor from Rivet City, but left everyone in the city alone, and they're all doing just fine without it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I publish many videos here on my channel each and every week, so if you want to make sure you don't miss my next episode, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. I have a brand new shirt in the shop. At least I have my Thump Thump. This design was a fan request after we had so much fun running around with Thump Thump the grenade rifle in my Caesar's Legion series for Fallout New Vegas. This beautiful design comes in a variety of both men's and women's sizes and in a wide array of colors. You can also find it on other products as well, smartphone cases, pillows, posters, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon this coming week with a brand new episode.